Things are sure getting interesting in the race for the Republican nomination. Rick Santorum is now leading in the polls in Michigan. Both Michigan and Arizona will hold their primaries on February 28th. Our political analyst, John Dadian, is here to break this all down for us. John, thanks for coming in again this morning.
Good morning.
Certainly do appreciate it. Okay, so February 28th is the date that we're next looking ahead to as the next primaries in this country with Arizona and Michigan. What's interesting about Michigan, though, is that Mitt Romney won that state during the presidential primary back in 2008, and his father was actually the governor of Michigan back in the 60s, but now we have Rick Santorum leading in the polls there. What do you make of that?
Well, and it's very interesting. I've seen several poll numbers, and one question they asked specifically is, do you remember Governor Romney, et cetera? And obviously, as the years go on, it's getting less and less. And Mitt himself has not lived in that state for many, many years, and of course, he was governor of Massachusetts. But it's interesting that this should be a state that he shouldn't have to work too hard on, and he's campaigning hard in Michigan. If he either wins slightly or doesn't win at all, I think it's going to be embarrassing.
I think one thing that kind of surprised me is that both candidates equally came out against the government bailout of the auto industry in Detroit, and they both have publicly said that many times. I would think that that would be a turnoff for people in Detroit and in Michigan as a whole.
And it's not, because again, you got to keep in mind, even though that's a big industry there, a lot of average blue-collar people, are paying their taxes, et cetera, and the polls show a lot of people, even in that state, didn't like the bailout.
As we head into Arizona as well, we haven't heard a whole lot about that state. Why are things so quiet on that front?
And not as many delegate votes, for example. And that one, ironically, unlike Michigan, that one's seen that's pretty much in Romney's camp because they have a pretty good proportion of Mormons in that state.
One of the articles I recently read said that Mitt Romney is the weakest front runner that they've ever seen in a Republican presidential race at this point of it. Why are people skeptical of him? Why is he just not the leader, and why are we seeing Rick Santorum, who lost in the Senate during that race, kind of doing the slow jog and catching right up?
And I think that is an accurate description as far as being one of the weakest candidates. He has what we call a glass ceiling, and it doesn't look like he's cracking that. In the early primaries, we thought maybe he was starting to crack it. He keeps it at 25 to 30%, et cetera, and he just can't get the people converts. And because of that, to get back to your other question, that's what people were looking for somebody else, whether it was, a Newt Gingrich or something, and they think they found it in Santorum. The other main important point is conservatives really never felt comfortable with Mitt Romney, et cetera, and now they have somebody they're comfortable with. They could have lived with Gingrich, but now they're very comfortable with Rick Santorum.
In your opinion, is Gingrich done?
Yes.
At this point, he's done.
How's that for an answer? Yeah. Yes, I do believe he is. Again, here's one, he did a little bit of a surge. They use that term both in politics and military. He had a nice little surge, et cetera. Surge didn't work.
Let's go back to the local front here. Mayor Jerry Sanders just got back from a trip to Washington, D.C., where he's talking about our pension issues and the measure that's going before the voters this June. What do you make of the trip and him kind of letting the nation know what we could potentially do right here in San Diego?
Well, as one person described the mayor's trip as Jerry Sanders' start of his farewell tour. I mean, this guy started to be treated like a rock star. What he went back to D.C. for is, to use Teddy Roosevelt's term, he's using the last 10 months of his term, he's using it as a bully pulpit. He was at a dinner a couple of weeks ago that he was just relaxed and cracking jokes, etc. So he's really getting out there. He went to D.C. and there were 3 areas where he was requesting money. This guy is going to be fighting for San Diego right up there. This is no lame duck. He's going to be making these next couple months count.
Well, that's fantastic for us right here in San
great.
Diego. We do appreciate it. Okay, so now as we look forward to these next few weeks, we have Super Tuesday coming up at the very beginning of March. What should we be looking out for at this point as voters? On
Super Tuesday, the key to watch is Ohio. Ohio, Ohio, Ohio. There's 10 states that are up, et cetera. Georgia was seen as going for Gingrich. Those are the two biggest ones that are on that day, et cetera. But now Santorum's really climbing up, so he might do a Georgia surprise. But Ohio is seen as a battleground state because all of them think they have a chance of getting it.
Are you finding this fascinating in a sense that we really don't have a clear front runner at this point? Or is really Super Tuesday going to let us know more?
No, this is as good as it gets. And I don't know about, again, because Super Tuesday, because of about almost a dozen primaries, et cetera, you might still get a mixed bag. We're just not sure yet. So this might be going right up to the convention, which would be phenomenal.
All right, John Dadian, thank you so much for coming in.
You.
Always appreciate your expertise. Thanks.